Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome to another episode of Bumping and Thumping, your podcast featuring everything about four independent wrestling from around the world. Do you hear that? That's the calm before the storm. Because we have the monster of a person, Anthony Coleman, King Kong Jr., on the show today. He is an aspiring brown belt. He is a pro fighter in MMA. He's been kickboxing since the age of 13. And he is no stranger to the cage. And he is also a professional wrestler. So when we get back, we will delve deep into the psyche that is Anthony King Kong Coleman. We'll be right back.
Mosquito-borne diseases or mosquito-borne illnesses are diseases caused by bacteria, viruses, or parasites transmitted by mosquitoes. Nearly 700 million people get a mosquito-borne illness each year, resulting in over 725,000 deaths. If you live near a pond or lake, or you're scheduling an outdoor event, go online or call today for your free consultation.
This is Bumping and Thumping, your podcast featuring everything about four independent wrestling from around the world. Join with me is the monster of a man, Anthony King Kong Coleman. Anthony, how you feeling today?
I am amazing. Today's been fun.
Okay.
Fun in a good way, but also fun in a eye-opening way.
Sure.
Just today in general, but overall it's been good. Just got through helping my son with some homework, and
Nice.
we getting ready to go to the gym here in a little bit.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So you recently just got back to a once-in-a-lifetime trip from California.
Absolutely.
What?
Oh,
Tell us all about your adventures in California, because yes.
all right. So I went out to Cali, to Santa Ana, California, exactly, to go train with by far one of the top practitioners in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the world. His name is Joe Moreira. I also had a opportunity to meet with his instructor, Grandmaster Francisco Mansour. What I was unaware of is that I was also a part of also going to be a part of a promotion ceremony for Grandmaster now Moreira to receive his red belt, which he received in front of us. So that was pretty cool.
So there are people who aren't unfamiliar with the belt system in jiu-jitsu. Would you kindly explain what that red belt means and what it signifies?
Okay, so the red belt essentially means that you've conquered the entire sport of jiu-jitsu, even though you can still learn things at that particular point. You pretty much have reached the mountaintop, if you will.
Yeah.
The mountaintop in which not only are you able to open up another smorgasbord of things to your students as well as yourself, but just in life in general. Like, jiu-jitsu has helped me in ways in life, and just not only with my martial arts and even my wrestling. There's just certain things that I can take out of both, and just I'm grateful for it. But to see somebody who actually believed in me, somebody who actually told me, hey, one day you're going to be a champion, one day you're going to be the champion.
Yeah.
Not only that, but to be a part of the multitude of black belts that I was surrounded around. I want to say it was a 2-day trip, or
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it was a 4-day trip, but 2 days of training. And those 2 days of training, I was around maybe 45 to 60 black belts per day.
What is it like being surrounded by that level of mastery? You are a 4-stripe purple belt, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you are an aspiring brown belt, as I stated in the intro. What is it like? What is that like, being surrounded by just all of these people and who you wanna get to their level one day. What is that like for you?
It was very humbling because of
Yeah,
the main reason why is because everybody there was family. Everybody there was helping everybody, regardless of belt color, regardless of rank. Everybody there was helping everybody. Even the guys that are uh 8th and 7th degree black belts, helping guys that are above them, helping Master Mawera, and then watching Grandmaster Mawera's teacher, uh, Grandmaster Mansoor, helping us, and with him being the age that he is, because he's kind of up there in age. He's around
yeah.
like I want to say in his late 70s, early 80s, and still is practicing jujitsu.
Wow, that's
And
incredible.
Grandmaster Mansoor's son was also there. So,
Yeah,
like I said, it was a lot of knowledge on the floor. A lot of
sure,
knowledge.
and especially learning that much in 2 days of training, like, it must have been mind-blowing and a little overwhelming, I can only imagine.
Definitely. I mean, there were times where I was like, okay, am I gonna remember this? Okay,
Right,
all I'm gonna do is when I get back to the hotel, I'm actually gonna go over this myself, or what my actual instructors that were there. My instructor Brian Chastain, that's my original jujitsu
sure,
instructor, but our instructor, his name is Zachary Holston. Um my that's who Joe gave his black
sure.
belt. So Joe gave my instructor Zachary Holston his black belt, and now I'm a student up underneath Brian Chastain.
That's so cool. Oh, and I noticed that you encountered a hero of yours. Yeah, I
Yeah,
wanna
that was an eye opening moment for me. Like
yeah,
Brian, we were drilling. I want to say we were drilling with lasso guard on the
yeah,
last day, and Brian and my assistant instructor Lamar Smith. He's
yeah,
also a
I
black
know
belt.
Lamar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's my brother. Shout out to you, Lamar.
I was just on,
Uh,
Tokyo Jits,
yes, yes.
a
I
couple
have
weeks
an
ago.
episode on there also.
Yeah, cool, cool.
That is my dude.
Small
Shout
world,
out
right?
shout out to Lamar.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, Lamar, what's up?
But uh he definitely, like, we working lasso guard,
Yeah,
and I was working with Lamar at the time. And as I got up, Brian was like, "Hey Coleman, look over your shoulder. Rampage Jackson." I'm like, bullshit. And I just look, I'm like, oh shit. You know? So it was kind of cool. It was
yeah.
kind of it was cool seeing the
Mhm.
guy that was the whole reason I got into MMA. You know,
Wow,
I watched the very first MMA fight that I watched was with Rampage Jackson versus Ricardo Arona. I don't remember the exact event. I
sure.
know it was a Pride event, but pretty much Ricardo Arona had him in a triangle choke. Rampage picked him up and dropped him on his head, knocked him out, hit him with a couple punches. I was like, hey, told my dad, I said, hey, I want to do that. He
How
was
old were
like,
you?
why? This is around the peak of me getting into wrestling also. So I
Got
was like,
gotcha.
I want to say I was like 9 or 10
Wow.
when I actually seen this. So I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, okay.
yeah,
All right. No, I might have been a little older than that. I don't
okay.
between I'll say between 10 and 12. I
Yeah.
seen this. I'm like, okay, I want to do that. And then he's like, why? He's like, that looked violent. I'm like, I already wrestle, so what's the difference? And then, I started watching more of his stuff.
Yeah.
And what I didn't know about Rampage was that he was also an avid wrestling fan. So while I
Mhm.
was chopping it up with him, and by the way, he's one of
Yeah.
probably the most down to earth
Sure.
MMA fighter I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
Long story short, he seen the color of my belt. He was like, "Oh, so you a purple belt?" I'm like,
Okay.
"Yeah." He was like, "I'm a blue belt. You think you'll tap me out?" And I looked at him directly in the eye and I said, "Hey, man, it'd be an honor to roll with one of my heroes." I said, "You the whole reason I even started wanting to fight
Wow,
or pick up martial MMA in general."
that's
And he
amazing.
looked at me and his exact words were cap. I'm like, "No, I'm serious." For the people that don't know, cap is what the
Yeah.
young kids say now when you think you're lying. But he says cap. I'm like, no, I'm serious, man. Like I'm serious. He's like, I didn't bring no training stuff with me. Otherwise, I'd have did something. I'm like, hey, I said I'm sure I'll be back down to Cali sometime, but I did not
Mhm.
know he was a part of the Mawera
Sure.
family. It's good to know that he is a part of the Mawera family. So I definitely look forward to bumping into him again because I'm sure this is not going to be my last trip down to Cali.
So it's been said, don't meet your heroes. Do you think that applies in this situation?
Absolutely not.
Cool. Cool.
Absolutely not. Meeting your heroes is one of the best things you can
Sure.
do
And
because they
especially in
all
such it felt like such a synchronous moment, like, that moment was conspired for you in time, like, you spent all of these years wanting to train like this person because they inspired you, and here he is, he just shows up in the same place you are. You can't tell me that
fate.
divine timing doesn't exist. It's just that's amazing. You know, we've come on such a long journey in the past 10 minutes, and you know, our sponsors are the reason why we're able to talk and have this moment. So, when
Yes.
we come right back, we will get into more. That is Anthony King Kong Coleman Jr. We'll be right back.
At the corner of Washtenaw Golfside in Ypsilanti, where everyone comes to play.
Welcome back, everyone, to Bumping and Thumping, your podcast featuring everything about for independent wrestling from around the world. I'm Annie. Join with me today is Anthony King Kong Coleman. Anthony, so you're no stranger to the cage. So how does your fight IQ cross over from the sport of MMA to professional wrestling?
Okay. One thing that I call him one of my mentors and a shout out to him. He's also one of my training partners over at Stars and Strikes where I train as well. Mr. LJ Lawrence,
Heck yes. Heck yes. The karate
Mr.
bad
Cobra
boy.
Kai himself. Yes,
Absolutely.
he pretty much pulled me aside and let me know, like, hey, me and you both do this, but we both also do this. This is what you have to understand. The MMA, you literally have to completely forget. You have to learn how to work. That is like I want to say 90% of our conversation before I even got into the sport of professional wrestling. And yes, it's a sport for those who don't believe so, whatever. It's a sport. When me and him got into this conversation and I told him, like, hey, I want to do this, I'm going to do this. He said the main thing you need to know that is that you literally have to unlearn everything that you know about MMA and go in as a sponge and learned everything you need to know about pro wrestling, which is what I did. And I'm thankful for the people that were a part of the journey that helped. So many to name. I don't want to forget anybody, but a few that need to stick out there that I want to personally thank. Well, for one, where I train, which is the House of Truth with Truth Martini. And my coach, also another coach of mine at the time, was Sean Tyler. Shout out to him. You know,
What's up, Sean?
um, yeah. So many people that were there. Also, another person that I know is in the MMA game and in the pro wrestling game is Bubba McKenzie. You know, he was a big person that was there in my ear, always telling me ways I can tweak things, ways that I can relate MMA to wrestling as far
Yeah.
as things that I did. So shout
Yeah.
out to you, Bubba, as well. Of course, I said Truth Martini, and guy that I feel like doesn't get enough credit, and a lot of people don't spit his name out there as much. AT Huck, shout out to you, man.
Oh, yeah.
Thank
Absolutely.
thank you for just telling me how to put more pro wrestling into everything I do. Like the emotion,
Yeah.
the being in the moment. You
Yeah.
know, I got a lot of that from him during my 12 weeks. So
Sure.
it was definitely amazing. I'm forever grateful for those guys. And like I said, I'm as same thing that I say as far as in jujitsu and in pro wrestling. I'm always learning, so I'm always a sponge to both.
Sure. Um, okay, so I have a fascinating question. I really, really want to know. I want to
Okay.
ask your opinion about. So I've heard it said that a pro fighter can always tell when a wrestling opponent has never been in a real fight. Is that true?
Um, now break that down for me one more time. You could
So
always tell when a pro fighter has never been. Say that again.
I've heard it said because you have the pro fighting background. Can you
Yes.
tell when someone you stand across the ring from, can you tell if they've never been in an actual physical altercation?
Honestly, at the moment, I'm going
Mhm.
to say I don't know
Sure,
because
sure.
it all depends on the eyes because a
Yeah,
person who's never been in a fight can snap just like that, depending on
yeah,
what type of situation they're in.
sure.
But on the same token,
Yeah,
you never know what's behind a person's eyes. You never know
100.
what you're going through. Like
Yeah,
my very first MMA fight. A lot of people don't know this, but I'm gonna educate them on a little something as far as the MMA game goes. Before everything got sanctioned in the state of Michigan, you could fight in maybe 3 or 4 times a week during the
wow,
weekend. As
wow.
long as you didn't have any like crazy cuts or anything like that.
Mhm.
The same way that the UFC was in the beginning
Okay.
with no rules and things of that nature, but obviously you had to no groin shots, no eye pokes, things like that.
Yeah.
It was like that in the state of Michigan for a long period of time until the state came in and regulated a lot of things.
Gotcha,
So
gotcha.
you never knew who you were fighting. Some guy may come off the street and say, "Hey, I want to fight this person.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to fight that person." What's crazy is that's how I actually got my first MMA fight.
What?
I seen a
Crazy.
sign outside. I kid you not. I seen a sign. It
Yeah.
was like I want to stay off of like 9 Mile and John R area, and the
Okay,
place I fought at was called the Village Banquet Hall. It was
okay.
a sign maybe a couple of blocks away from that, and I had just got done with wrestling practice. Because at the time I was out of high school, I was graduated. I would still go up there and get work in with the kids, that the new crop of people that either I had just graduated before, or just helping people out there. But I also would get work in with like my coaches and things while I'm there. But I seen a sign that said fighters wanted. I'm like, okay, let me call this. And I got the information. I called in. I said, yeah, I want to fight. Probably the dumbest thing I did in my life, but also the smartest thing I've done in my life. Definitely. Um, at the time, like I said, I had been out of high school. My weight had blown up to 357 pounds. I was not in shape at all, but I thought I was. Definitely wasn't. Um, I went out. I fought for 2 rounds. I ended up literally almost passing out in the second round. So
Wow,
it got called a TKO. And that was my first fight. I'm like, okay, now I
wow.
actually go to a gym and train.
So what did that loss teach you about yourself? What did you learn?
Um, I learned that I was overweight and out of shape. Let's start
Mhm,
there.
mhm.
I learned that I didn't know everything that I thought I knew. I learned that I didn't know everything that I saw on TV, and I didn't know how
Sure.
to apply it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I definitely decided to, at that point, I definitely decided to take MMA as well as my MMA career more seriously. And I want to say I had about 75 amateur fights before everything got sanctioned. I went through, I want to say 4 different coaches in that time
Mhm,
frame.
mhm,
Um, went through 4 different coaches in that time frame, but it all boils back to what I wanted to do originally.
mhm,
My father was one of the main reasons why I even got into pro wrestling to begin with.
mhm.
Um, I was outside, and I want to say I was around like 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah,
That's 6 or 7 years old. And I never forget this because I got into a fight, a real bad fist fight with a bunch of kids on my block. My dad yells at me and says, "Get in the house, sit on the couch and don't move." So I sit on the couch, I don't move. He's like, "Watch TV. Don't move until dinner done." Okay, cool. No problem. I watch the TV. I look at the TV and I see this big ghoulish looking dude with all black on, black and purple on, taking a hat off, getting ready to get in the ring. This is the very first time I've ever watched professional wrestling. I'm like, who is this? Like, this dude look like death. Like, who is this? I said, "Dad, who is this?" He's like, "Just shut up and watch TV." Okay, cool. I didn't move out of that spot for 3 hours. And that's how I got hooked on pro wrestling.
Wow. That's so cool. Just how interwoven your journey with pro wrestling, MMA, and jujitsu all they're just so close together. And I
Yes.
love that. Like you've oh, I love this part and I don't like this part at the same time because I just want to hear you tell your stories, but we are approaching another commercial break. So when we come back, we only have a few minutes left and I want to hear more about your journey through all of the things we ventured through right when we come back.
Hi, I'm Jay Aubrey Jackson, the $50 computer virus guy in Metro Detroit. We are the home of the true flat $50 computer repair. $50 a job, no matter how long it takes. Never a penny more. Netbooks, laptops, desktop towers, all-in-one computers, phones, iPhones, tablets, iPads, and game systems. Free diagnosis and money-back guarantee. If we don't fix it, you pay nothing. And we do same-day service within 24 hours of drop-off. And are open 7 days a week, so come to the computer virus guy now.
Welcome back to our final segment of Bumping and Thumping, your podcast featuring everything about for independent wrestling from around the world. Anthony, we've come so far in the last 20 minutes. I can't even believe how much we've covered. One thing I really did want to touch on, a few weeks ago, there was a WWE show, and you took your son,
Yes.
and I saw your posts on Facebook, and just seeing the joy in your son's eyes, and just watching him interact with what Cody Rhodes.
Yes.
I want to know all about that and how your son must be so proud of you for being a wrestler yourself. Uh, Touch on that a little bit.
I mean, well, my son he hasn't been to as many of the wrestling events that I want him to go
Sure.
to, because of prior engagements. Because he also plays soccer. He's
Gotcha.
been playing soccer 4 years now. He'll,
Wow.
he's educating me on it. I
Good.
don't even know who these people are, like
Yeah.
Messi and Ronaldo and all those people. But he'll sit there and educate me on them. And I'm like, all right, cool. But sometimes when we sit down and we watch wrestling, kind of like how my dad did me,
Right.
we'll sit down and we'll watch wrestling and we will literally just be cordial and chill. It's like that's our father son time.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't we're literally nothing else matters. Like we will sit there and just chill, Like originally it was always funny because once my son learned how to work YouTube on his phone and on his tablet, he was always watching older wrestling and like different forms of wrestling. And I never forget, his aunt asked him who his favorite wrestler was.
Yeah.
And he told her Andre the Giant. Now, mind you, my
Really?
son is 8 years old.
Wow.
My son is 8 years old. And his aunt said to him, "What do you know about Andre the Giant? He was out
Probably
way
a
before your he was out way before your time." And I never forget his answer because I was sitting right next to him.
lot.
He's like, I remember, like he literally gave a whole little Cliff Notes biography of Andre. His first thing was say, "Well, I remember when Hogan slammed him in Detroit when it was 90,000 people." I said, "Jake, it wasn't Detroit, it was Pontiac." But it was in Michigan, Dad. Which is he's right. He's like, and I remember that he didn't like snakes because Jake the Snake kept trying to throw the snake on him. I'm like, okay, you right. And he's like, and I remember he was partners with that guy that you like. I'm like, how do you even know this stuff? He was talking about Haku. Haku has always been one of my favorite wrestlers.
Very cool.
I have a smorgasbord full of guys that I liked, but I
Yeah.
also have the guys that were my favorites.
Yeah.
Like Haku was a guy that I like, but my son will tell you who my favorite wrestler is of all time, and he always mess with me on it. Like my favorite wrestler is Bret Hart, but
Cool.
I also hold Undertaker and Umaga dear and near to my heart.
Yeah.
Like it's those guys are the reason I still watch wrestling.
Sure.
I watch it for the excitement, the you never know what's gonna happen next, and just the entertainment purpose of it. But with my son, like it gets competitive, especially like with the games. Like we just got WWE 2K24.
Yeah. Yeah.
It gets real competitive in my house when we're playing the game. Like sometimes he'll get mad, and then like I remember I let him sit there for maybe like a day or two and learn how to play the game on his own. I went back, I couldn't beat him. I was pissed. I'm like, damn, like I only left you in here for like maybe 30 minutes to an hour to learn how to play the game. And now you know how to play it and now I can't beat you. Yeah. It's like he picks up on games like this. Like he picks up on a lot of things like that. Games, jujitsu,
Yeah.
because he's in jujitsu also. He's also in striking
Cool.
with me. So
Very
like
cool.
he picks up on everything quick, which is good. So
And I can only imagine how you feel know that you and your son share this special bond with each other over jujitsu, MMA, wrestling, and I love that your son took his aunt to school. That was also one of my favorite parts of
yeah,
it.
that's funny.
So before we close out, where can fans see you and where they connect with you?
All right. So my Facebook page is Anthony Coleman Jr. That is my shoot name. My Instagram is King Kong Coleman. That is my stage name. That was given to me actually by one of my nephews. If I ever get a chance to come on the show again, I can tell the story about that. But
Yeah.
um, I actually have a couple of wrestling matches coming up.
Yeah.
I have this Saturday, CCW. That's at Lance Cruz High School. It starts at 8 p.m. And then I have SCW at the Modern Skate Park in Royal Oak. That
Oh, that's gonna
starts
be
at
a huge show.
yeah, that's always a huge show. I think last year we did 400 plus 400 or 500 people. So that
Wow.
was we're looking to top that this year, you know.
Heck
I'll
yeah.
be on both of those shows. If you've never seen me wrestle, I would advise you to come and get your money's worth and also buy some merch. If you don't have your King Kong Coleman merch, get it.
I have a shirt,
But
and it's one of my favorite wrestling shirts I have.
thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Purple is one of my favorite colors, and
Yes. Purple is actually well, it's one of my favorite colors. It's my mother's favorite color. It's my girlfriend's favorite color. It's just a good color.
great color. It's associated with higher divine intelligence and royalty. Because obviously you're you're King Kong. You're King Kong Coleman.
Yes,
Hello. Well, Anthony, thank you for your time today. I had a blast, and I wish you everything, nothing but the best for you. And I can't wait to see you in a cage soon.
absolutely. Hopefully it'll happen soon. Hopefully it
Absolutely.
will happen soon.
All right, everyone. This has been another amazing episode of Bumping and Thumping, your podcast featuring everything about for independent wrestling from around the world. We'll catch you next time.